What if your doctor's office had jars of leeches instead of a candy dish? Forget anesthesia, and imagine the air thick with the smell of herbs, old medicine, and maybe a hint of something metallic. Welcome to the world of Victorian medicine, a time when a trip to the doctor was as strange as it was risky. Blood draining to cure your headache? Sure. Leeches for your fever? Why not? In a time before antibiotics and modern surgery, things that seem crazy to us were everyday treatments. But don't be too quick to judge. Victorian medicine was full of strange practices, yes, but also incredible discoveries, the stuff modern medicine is built on. From bizarre cures to brilliant breakthroughs, let's dive into this wild world of medical history. If you're brave enough, step back in time with me. The Victorian era, named after Queen Victoria, spanned from 1837 to 1901. It was a time of profound change, with the Industrial Revolution in full swing, transforming societies and economies. Factories churned out machines, steam engines powered trains, but doctors still struggled to treat something as basic as a wound infection. Medical science was still in its infancy, a curious blend of ancient beliefs and emerging knowledge. This was a world where science was on the rise, but old superstitions held tight. Medicine, as we know it today, was just beginning to take shape. The germ theory of disease was yet to be widely accepted, and many treatments were based on theories like humorism, dating back to ancient times. In this era, the doctor's office was a place of both intrigue and fear. The tools and methods might seem primitive to us now, but back then, they were at the forefront of medical technology. Doctors were respected figures, yet their practices often teetered on the edge of what we'd now consider scientific, like draining a feverish patient's blood to balance their humors. Even a simple infection could kill, or a bout of cholera or tuberculosis could kill, and doctors often had little more than guesswork to guide them. Without antibiotics or advanced surgery, doctors relied on a mix of herbal remedies, bloodletting, and even astrology to treat their patients. It's crucial to understand the prevailing beliefs that guided these practices. In a time when the true causes of diseases were largely unknown, doctors often operated on theories that, to our modern minds, might seem perplexing. One such belief was the theory of humorism, an ancient concept first proposed by the Greek physician Hippocrates. This theory proposed that health depended on balancing the body's four humors: blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. Imbalances, it was thought, led to illness. Another dominant idea was the miasma theory, the belief that diseases were caused by bad air emanating from rotting organic matter. In this era, diagnosis was more art than science. Without the aid of modern tests or imaging, doctors relied heavily on their observations and the patient's description of symptoms. Treatments, therefore, were based on correcting supposed imbalances or purifying the body's environment. Treatments ranged from the mundane to the bizarre. Bloodletting, using leeches or lancets, was a standard practice, believed to remove excess blood and restore balance. Purgatives and emetics were used to cleanse the body, often causing more harm than good. And let's not forget the myriad of herbal remedies and potions, each with its own promise of cure. Despite these seemingly odd practices, it's important to remember that Victorian doctors were working with the best knowledge they had at the time. They laid the groundwork for many of the medical advancements we benefit from today. In the Victorian era, medical science was a world filled with strange practices and beliefs, often more akin to alchemy and superstition than to what we'd recognize as medicine today. Let's step into the strange and often shocking world of Victorian medicine, where the line between treatment and torture was sometimes unsettlingly thin. Bloodletting, as we mentioned earlier, was just the start. Doctors were obsessed with bodily fluids, and the best remedy often seemed to be letting some out. Leeches were the gentle approach, but if the illness was severe, the sharp sting of the lancet cutting your arm, the warmth of your own blood flowing freely, pooling in a bowl. Sometimes they took a little, sometimes a lot. Dizziness, a pounding heart, the world turning gray, it was all part of the cure. In some extreme cases, patients were bled until they fainted, a dangerous practice that could lead to severe anemia or even death. But the faith in bloodletting was unwavering, a testament to the era's sometimes misguided medical dogma. Desperate to revive the drowned, Victorian doctors had a solution: the tobacco smoke enema. This practice involved blowing tobacco smoke into the victim's rectum using a special device. It was thought that the stimulating properties of tobacco could revive the drowned. This bizarre treatment wasn't limited to drowning cases. It was also used for other ailments like constipation and gut pain, making it a rather versatile, if not misguided, tool in the Victorian medical kit. The Victorian pharmacy was a dangerous place. Deadly poisons, mistaken for cures, mercury for syphilis, arsenic for a little bit of everything, is believed to cure everything from asthma to cancer. Imagine walking into a pharmacy and being prescribed a potion containing these deadly elements. It was a time when the line between cure and poison was dangerously thin. Opium, another staple of Victorian medicine, was widely used for pain relief. It was also a common ingredient in over-the-counter remedies for coughs, insomnia, and even teething in infants. The addictive and harmful nature of these narcotics was grossly underestimated. The widespread use of opium led to addiction and abuse, a dark side of Victorian healthcare that often goes unnoticed. From opium dens to laudanum-addicted poets, the impact of this drug on society was profound. Surgery in the Victorian era was a grim affair. Performed without proper anesthesia or antiseptics, operations were often quick, brutal, and extremely painful. Surgeons prided themselves on speed, sometimes completing amputations in under a minute to minimize the patient's suffering. Patients were typically given alcohol or opium to dull the pain, but these were poor substitutes for effective anesthesia. The risk of infection was high, and survival often depended more on luck than on the surgeon's skill. Hydrotherapy, which involved the use of water in various forms and temperatures, was touted as a cure for mental illnesses, subjecting patients to prolonged baths that could last hours or even days. Electrotherapy, the application of electrical currents to the body, was another popular treatment, believed to stimulate healing. Imagine being a patient during this era. You might be subjected to a rotating chair designed to treat mental illness by spinning at high speeds, or wear a lung expander that supposedly treated tuberculosis. While these treatments may seem shocking to us now, they represent the steps and missteps of a medical community striving to understand the human body. It was a time of trial and error, a period that, in its own convoluted way, paved the path to our current medical practices. After witnessing the startling medical practices of the Victorian era, it's natural to wonder, how could they believe these treatments would work? Let's delve into the scientific reasoning of the 19th century to understand the beliefs that shaped these peculiar practices. The theory of humorism was a cornerstone of Victorian medicine. This wasn't a new idea. It dated back to Hippocrates and Galen in ancient times. With centuries of tradition, it's easy to see why doctors clung to the belief that health depended on balancing those four essential humors. Bloodletting and purgatives, however unpleasant, were seen as ways to restore that delicate balance. Another dominant belief was the miasma theory, the idea that diseases were caused by bad air from rotting matter. Considering the overcrowded, dirty cities of the era, it seemed logical that illness would spring from such conditions. Practices like fumigation and using aromatic herbs weren't random. They were attempts to purify the air and combat those deadly vapors. One thing was missing from Victorian medicine: the knowledge of germs and their role in disease. Without this understanding, doctors couldn't know that their antiseptics were useless, or that those supposedly healing tonics often contained poisons. They were fighting an invisible enemy. Their treatments focused on the symptoms they could see: fever, swelling, pain, not the unseen causes. This makes the widespread use of substances like mercury and arsenic seem misguided. But without knowing about germs, they were the best tools available. Yet, the seeds of modern medicine were being sown in this era. The discovery of germs, the development of antiseptics, these breakthroughs would soon change everything. The medical beliefs of the Victorians may seem strange to us now, but they were a product of the knowledge of their time. This was a period of struggle and advancement, where the foundations of the medicine we rely on today were slowly being laid. The journey from Victorian medicine to the healthcare of today is nothing short of astonishing. Let's look at a few areas where the contrast is most stark. Consider the tools of the trade. Victorian doctors relied on rudimentary instruments, often contaminated and imprecise. Today, medicine boasts an astonishing array of specialized, sterile equipment. From MRI machines to surgical lasers, these tools grant doctors powers those of the 19th century could only dream of. Perhaps the greatest change lies in our understanding of disease. Where once miasma theory and humors reigned, we now know the true culprits: germs, genetics, and complex biological processes. This knowledge revolutionized treatments, shifting the focus from merely managing symptoms to targeting root causes. Surgery, once a terrifying last resort, is now commonplace. The discovery of anesthesia made surgery bearable. Advancements in antiseptics and surgical techniques have transformed it into a precise, often life-saving science. Procedures unimaginable in the Victorian era are now routine. Of course, it's not just about operations. Vaccinations, once controversial, now prevent diseases that were once widespread killers. From antibiotics for infections to sophisticated treatments for conditions like cancer, our medical arsenal is constantly expanding. The journey from leech jars to life-saving technology is a testament to human curiosity and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. While the road has been long, and we still have much to learn, the progress of medical science offers hope for an even healthier future. While some Victorian practices make us shudder, it's important to remember, this was medicine driven by the scientific understanding of the time. Their strange treatments and misguided beliefs highlight the relentless human curiosity to heal and understand the body. The Victorians left us questions, and with those questions, the seeds of the medicine we have today. Who knows what cures those of the future will find strange about our current practices? The search for better medicine is an ongoing quest. Keep that curiosity alive. Let's keep discussing these strange tales of medicine past and how they shape our future. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the like button.